Welcome, everyone, to the Miami Champions weekly game recap. My name is National Expert Steve Abrams, and I'm one of the managers of the Miami Champions, together with National Master Brian Tillis, who is going to talk to you today about the game of the week.
Week 2, it was the New York Knights versus the Miami Champions, and we managed to win 10-6.
Welcome to Week 2 of the Miami Champions Game of the Week. This week we selected Hikaru Nakamura's excellent effort over Oliver Barbosa. This game's real impressive moments came in the end game, so we're going to quickly go through the opening and middle game phase in order to reach that end game position, which Nakamura shows why he's one of the greatest players in the world. We quickly see a slot position reached, and the system with e3. It became immensely popular after the first Grandmaster Repertoire book by Boris of Rook. See the move Bishop g4. And now there are two major topical variations here. h3, which was played in the game, and knight c3. After e6, queen b3, and knight h4, we have a position which has excellent attacking choices for white and keeps more pieces on the board than the variation we see in the game. After bishop g4 in the game, we had h3. Black's usually going to trade off this bishop and yield the bishop pair. He gets a solid position with not much risk. After e6, knight c3, Black played bishop b4 in the game. The database recommends knight bd7 as superior. After bishop d3, d6, takes. There were some interesting games in the database played by both Karpov and Gelfand, starting with 10g4. So after knight c3, we see bishop b4 in the game, and both players begin to finish their development in the opening. We reach an isolated pawn position where white has the bishop pair and black has the knights. Black begins to try to blockade the d-pawn. So white pins the knight, and after queen d6, makes a concession in order to assure that the white d-pawn will not be blockaded. f7 pawn is pressured, and after queen c7, a4, assuring that the queen and bishop will not be dislodged from their battery on the f7 square. c1, continuing to keep pressure, not allowing the bishop to be traded off, and d5. The most important thing in isolated pawn positions for the attacking side is to be able to push the isolated pawn when need be. If it gets blockaded, that can typically be bad for endgames. After c5, we see a5 breaking up the queenside pawns. And with this next move, bishop c2, Nakamura sets up an excellent threat with the potential of double attacking the loose rook on e2, as well as the pawn on h7 after queen d3. Black stops this with c4, but misses the move bishop d3, and mass liquidations take place. We reach this position, which is seemingly drawn. The passion shown by Nakamura and the will to win in this position is the reason that we selected this game as Game of the Week. So we begin to see a large amount of moves which slightly change the position. Any change in the pawn structure yields potential ideas for pawn breaks. To rook e8, one set of rooks is traded. And white doesn't want to make any trades unless they're favorable, constantly keeping the tension. No trades unless it's beneficial. Check. And it may seem like a lot of shuffling, but this is how you wear down your opponent long term in these types of games. Queen f6. And in Silman's book, From Beginner to Master, I love the way he puts it. It's the complete endgame course from beginner to master. Do in 10 moves what you can do in 2. Nakamura really shows this principle in motion of cat and mouse here. F4, and at some point the potential of F5 could be played, changing the pawn structure. After King G8, I found this idea very, very interesting that after F4, earlier we saw the moves H4, H5, G3, G6, and black seemingly was copying white. If he chooses to do so here with F5, the game is already lost with this passive defense. Check. And with the creation of the extra pass pawn, black's going to lose quickly here. He can't really defend the G pawn, and the E and D pawns are going to be too strong very soon. So after F4, black played King G8. And many more moves are played here, rejecting the idea of a perpetual. Now black begins to take the initiative and gets counterplay with his own pass pawn. But this also is going to take less of a focus on defense of preventing white's counterplay. White's finally able to initiate F5 and has made a slight amount of progress. Now, the main thing that's happened from this is the black king will be much more open, and there's going to be potential ideas to get to the back rank or get to E7, which ended up being one of the factors that caused black to lose this game. 2. Now, a calculation here will show that rook takes F7 will lead to a draw very quickly. So after rook F7 in the game, rook E2 was played, assuring that there is no rook trade on F2. No mates. And probably better for black to try for the perpetual here with rook F1, but he plays queen B5. And after rook D7, both sides are carefully watching their opponent's pass pawn. And after queen E6, this is the key moment in the game. Black must find a defensive resource, and it's a counterintuitive move, because typically we want to have as many options with our pieces as possible. The move rook G7 needs to be played now. And we can quickly see how progress won't be made and a perpetual check will happen. After queen E6, the move queen B7 was played. White to play and win. Pause your video and figure out what white did to win this game. Okay? Rook F8. Threatening mate. And after B2, check. Oh, excuse me. Got overexcited there. Queen E8. Now, this is the moment that the commentators were analyzing the move Queen H1 as the best try. Black has the potential to play for a perpetual check, but it reaches a situation where white will have the extra passer and will be able to gradually make progress until he's able to win the 2 pawns, and this is clearly a winning endgame for white. In the game, Barbosa played rook D8, and Nakamura answered with the queen winning check, and shows flawless technique in converting this. Overall, this is an excellent technical endgame win.
Here are the standings of the Atlantic Blue Division after Week 2 of the Pro Chess League.
Thank you guys for tuning in today and hope to see you next week.
For more information, you can check out the links to follow us on social media and all the happenings for the Miami Champions team.